Welcome to Piccinino Pictures. Thanks so much for joining us on our adventures in filmmaking. My name is Shaun Paul Piccinino. I'm a film and television director for the likes of Netflix, HBOMax, Starz, and more. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content. Now, for my fellow filmmakers and aspiring filmmakers, one of the coolest ways to check out the latest and greatest gear that we obviously need in order to make movies is to go to a technology expo such as NAB or the more film-centric Cinegear Expo. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Oh, yeah, that's better. This year I was lucky enough to get to attend the Cinegear Expo, where they had everything from, of course, new cameras, anamorphic lenses everywhere the eye could see, gimbals, techno cranes, remote-controlled jib arms with 360-degree orbital rotating heads. I mean, it was just mind-blowing, all the cool stuff I got to see there. So, if you get an opportunity to check out the Cinegear Expo, I highly recommend it. Just a great way to see all the latest and greatest and get to intermingle with amazing filmmakers from all over the world. So because this year I got to attend the Cinegear Expo, I figured I'd focus on some new gear in this video. Specifically, 2 cameras that have some really interesting specs that can help us filmmakers. The first camera I want to talk about is the Canon C400. It boasts a brand new 6K resolution sensor, records in 12-bit cinema raw light, and is the world's first triple native ISO camera. Idiot! Boom! This is a bold move by Canon. We'll get more to that in a second. The second camera I want to talk about is the Blackmagic Ursa Cine12K. And as you might have guessed from the name, it boasts a 12K full-frame resolution sensor. Really? It also has acclaimed 16 stops of dynamic range and other really interesting features. If 12K was not enough, Blackmagic also announced a 17K 65mm medium format camera? That's like IMAX specs. Quick, somebody get Christopher Nolan on the line. Okay, let's get into the Canon C400. It has a brand new 6K back-illuminated multi-layered sensor with triple native ISO. So that's a base native ISO of 800, 3200, and a whopping 12,800, matching the likes of the Sony FX6, which can basically see in the dark through the use of magic and witchcraft. Now the Sony FX6 only has a dual native ISO, which is 800 and 12,800. So the real hero here for the Canon, I think, is the middle setting at 3200 ISO. That gives you that extra latitude at the end of the day when you're losing light and you desperately need to get these scenes finished because you know that this is the last day that you have at this location, or it was the only day that you had at this location. You also don't have the actors for the scene on another day. You gotta get these scenes done or else it's gonna cost lots of money. Sorry, sorry, I'll recompose myself. But no, it is a lifesaver. And I know this because I've used this 3200 native ISO on multiple film shoots. For films on Netflix and HBO, we used a Red Gemini, which also has a dual native ISO, and 3200 being one of the settings. And it has really helped us when we are, again, chasing the sun at the end of the day, exterior, some interior shots as well, where you just need that extra hour of shooting. This becomes a real lifesaver. Now, the 12,800 ISO obviously could help you keep going even longer, but I think that that is such a higher sensitivity that it's going to be a little bit more narrow of a situation where that will really become handy. Shooting at night, maybe a little bit more guerrilla style filmmaking where you can't set up a bunch of lights, that's where that 12,800 could really become a super useful tool. Where in cameras like a Sony FX6, it jumps straight from 800 ISO to 12,800, so it doesn't really have that middle ground. Kudos to Canon for including this, and I think it's a really great move. I'll be interested to see just how this camera performs, especially in low light situations, once it's out and being used in more real world environments. But that said, this is a great step in the right direction for Canon and their cinema line. Now on to Blackmagic's Ursa Cine12K and its big sister, the 17K. The 12K boasts an astounding 98 megapixel sensor with an advertised 16 stops of dynamic range. It records in a whole host of resolutions, from 12K up to 100 frames per second, 8K at 244 frames per second, and all the way down the line to HD. And it does all of this in Blackmagic's pretty fantastic B-RAW codec. Lens mounts available for this body are PL, LPL, and a locking EF. But the really cool thing about this is they're interchangeable. Now this is one of my favorite design features on the Red camera line, was how easy it was to change out your mount system. Just 4 little screws and you can have a completely new style of lens set up on your camera. So bravo to Blackmagic for doing this. I really think it's a cool move. Now let's get back to the 12K resolution. You might be asking yourself, is this just too much resolution? Is it gonna make the images too sharp? What will it do to my skin? All of these are valid questions, but they also have some valid reasonings for having this resolution, and some solutions are available for some of those worries that you might have. Now, with the 12K resolution, it gives you a lot of latitude in post-production, especially for visual effects shots, reframing a shot, cropping into a shot. It just gives you so much more versatility in post on how you can truly shape your edit. So that can be an incredibly useful tool. As far as actors go, having too much resolution and showing off flaws that maybe they don't want to be seen, the good news is, in post-production these days, with editing and color correction software, including Blackmagic's very own DaVinci Resolve Studio, there's so many amazing tools that can help you achieve that look that you want. Now, while we weren't actually able to get our hands on the 17K model, we did get to see it in a nice display case. It was all surrounded in glass, so you couldn't touch it. But the wonderful folks at Blackmagic were kind enough to talk to us and give us a bunch of the information about it. And it is a medium format sensor. It's ultra wide. It is the same sensor as the 12K from top to bottom, but it's just wider. So you're thinking that, really ultra wide CinemaScope. IMAX is another thing that you can think of. 65 millimeter film. Just the likes of I might be wrong here on the exact specs, but stuff like Lawrence of Arabia. You think of movies like that in that ultra wide aspect ratio. And that means that you actually do need medium format lenses, or lenses that have an image circle large enough to cover the width of that sensor. Of course, there's different modes that crop in and all these things to the sensor, but if you want to take full advantage of that 17K ultra wide, you're going to need an image circle of a lens that can cover that sensor size. Well, there you have it. 2 new and I think very interesting cameras for filmmakers to sink their teeth into. I had such a great time at Cinegear this year and just wanted to thank all the amazing people and vendors and companies for letting us get to play with the new toys. I'll be back next year for sure. Because I covered new gear in this episode, on my next Adventures in Filmmaking, I'm going to be talking about some older gear, some older cameras with specs that still are viable and valid today. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any comments, if I made any mistakes in the video, feel free to let me know. And also, if you have suggestions for future episodes, I'd love to hear them. Thanks again.